Sean here, Rimshots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. We have Wayne Schnare, and we thought it would be fun to maybe have an audience participation piece. So I don't know if anybody has a question for Wayne, but if you put your hand up, say it loud. I might have the racetrack to walk over there, but anybody have a question for Wayne? Oh, down in the back. What's your name, sir?
Brent.
Brent.
Sometimes I go by Brad.
Okay.
That's a question for both of you guys. Right now, what is your go-to artist? You're going to pick one artist right now, put it on, you pick.
Ooh.
I think the artist right now for me that I personally like to sit down and have a chat with is actually two, but they're a team. It's a duo, and that would be Arch and Kim.
Woo!
Nice.
Great answer.
Are you related to them at all?
Yeah, it's my wife and her.
Oh, okay.
That was a little bit complicated.
Right on. Thanks, great. We just could have got you in the shot. It would have been that's a good one. Oh, do I got an answer?
Yeah, you got an answer.
We started Barstools, and there's a movie called Hard Gun. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's done by a guy by the name of Jason Buck, who played with Five Finger Death Punch. And anyway, the premise of the movie is about people that are hired to fight for other people. And in that movie, they interview Liberty DeVito. The Liberty Dogs, like this.
Oh, Liberty, yeah.
And I was just like, if I get to spend 5 minutes with that guy,
I think we will make that happen.
we already interviewed. He was like my fourth interview. He said happy birthday to me in my 50th reel. Sorry, my 36th reel. But what a cool dude. So that was a dream. But one of the ones that I've been to lately, there's a band that Matt Starr, who I interviewed. Matt plays with Ace Frehley and some guys like that. He's got these kids in the States. They're called Audio Mill. We have an interview coming up with them, and they're like 21 to 16 years old, and they are crazy good. And so I like them. And then I'm a hair metal guy, man. So I mean, like I don't have much since past 89 on my reel, to be honest with you. Mr. Doucette.
Well, unless it's about me, don't say names or anything like that, but what's your worst interview story? Unless it's about me, let's start selling something about me.
I got. Mine isn't about you. I don't think we've had you on yet, but we will.
And his name is like Ryan Lucette, and I'm gonna start doing names, you know?
No, I had somebody on the show, and was somebody that I knew outside of the radio show, and had many conversations with them. And they got in the studio, and I do an hour-long show, and every question that I asked them was either yes, no, sometimes. I had to get the producer said, turn off the tape. I had to say to them, listen, close your eyes, picture how normally it is when you and I are together talking, and where we are and what we're doing. And then I want you to forget about the microphones, the headsets, and that other funny looking guy in the other room listening to us. Okay? Just look at me and talk to me. That's it. And after that, things were fine, but the first 20 minutes were absolutely torturously painful. Because I don't have 100 questions, okay? I mean, you've been on my show. I don't have anything in front of me usually. Maybe a list of your songs and maybe a note about the songs, but that's it. There are no questions already being in my head to ask. I don't know where it's going.
You're a lot more prepared than I usually am. That's a true story.
Well, yeah.
Me? Yeah, I do. It was me. No, I won't name the name. My goal has never been to never embarrass anybody. So I'll tell the story. The person shall remain nameless. But we interviewed somebody, and I come to find out afterwards that we were supposed to give him a little bit more of a heads up than we did. So there was a story going around about an issue that he was having in the media, and that was the first thing that I brought up. And right away, he was like, you're going to have to talk to this person about it. So I'm like, okay, obviously somebody got them. So my second question, I don't remember what it was about. Yeah, whatever. Right? So I sent Dave a text. I said, one more question, and I'm going to be really, really nasty. And I asked a question about the YouTube channel that he had that was doing, and all of a sudden, this guy's part of it. And so that was the closest to a train wreck. I've never had anybody that's been a total jerk. I don't do well with swearing. Like, if people swear, I try to not swear. Sometimes I slip up off this. Yeah, different story. But I try to, two rules of thumb I have is I try not to swear, and I try to not be a fan. And by that, I mean, I don't want to sit there and interview somebody and gush and whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, like, really, they're where I want to be. They've just had a little bit more success than me, and I never want to go, oh, you remember the guy that, was crying when he met you? So, those are kind of my two rules. And, but that was probably the closest I had to a train wreck, and it was 4 minutes of pain for probably one of the better interviews that we had, so, yeah.
I think I might know who that was.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I've had a few instances at festivals with some people that are living in a different plane, and that just haven't gotten the memo yet that the reason that they're there is because there's people that like them and they have fans, but they walk around like they're as high as this table off the ground above everybody else. But yeah, I've come across a few of those. But
I got a funny story. Can I tell you a funny story? And the way that I talked about this on Thursday. So, this is
we did a pretty good interview with this guy.
Yeah, he did great. Can you believe it? I had a lot to say. It was weird. Normally I'm so quiet. Anyway, so we were talking about, we had got this idea to do Women of Rock in Atlantic, Canada. So we had Darby Mills, we had Lena Clear, but we started to want to interview women. So Dave was kind of lining that up, and he comes and he says, well, we got Michelle Ryder from Sons of Motown, and I'm like, because I explained away, my life was Halifax, so I was never really, I was in the bar scene in Halifax for 15 years or whatever. So anyway, so the day that we're doing the interview, I'm doing a job for a friend of mine, so I'm over at a school in Halifax, and I'm trying to get Wi-Fi off the building, and it's freezing, and it's pouring rain. McPherson decides he's going to experiment with the green screen technology on Zoom, so he goes and he buys like a bunch of green Bristol boards. So anyway, so Dave's like, okay, we're ready to go. We're going to bring her on. So it's like, welcome Michelle Ryder. So go look at the interview because it's hilarious. So the slides, there's Michelle. She got everything all perfectly, set up. And there's Dave's head disappearing, and me freezing up with some guy yelling at me because he thinks I'm trying to break into school. Like, seriously, it was a fun. And I'm sitting there going, like, what a couple of freaking clowns, dude. Like, here's six with the stat band and Sounds of Motown, and these two DARPA idiots are good. And Dave's head just kept going in. So anyway, it was one of the funnier ones. You go back and look at that because it was a lot of fun. True story.
Welcome to Stacy's.
Well, that was the feeling, man. Yeah. Or when you interviewed Darby Mills, and she goes, this is great because the last one that I did was with two guys in their mother's basement. I'm in my basement, Dave's in his mother's basement. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, actually, you know what, you say that, I did an interview with, I had a producer at one time, Jim Wobble, and we used to do all our shows in, like, he had a basement apartment in his house. And so we used to do all of our interviews in the old living room. And we had the ceiling all hooked up with microphones and lights and all this stuff. And it was a pretty good setup, actually. And one of the local artists, we had him in one time and did a show. And a while later, about a year later or so, Jim was talking to him about, about the show that he was doing with Cove FM now. And the guy replied, yeah, he said, I did an interview, he said, for some radio show, he said, in some effing guy's basement. And Jim just kind of looked at him for a minute, and then he turned to look at him and he said, yeah, That have been my basement.
Well, but, so, I don't know if everybody knows Brian Woodger that plays with me in the frequency, but another funny, Brian, when we first started, interview this guy, interview that guy, drop my name. So one of them was George McPhee.
Yep.
Guitar player. And so anyway, drop his name. He goes, yeah, sure, no problem. So I remember we set up the interview and so how'd you get a hold of me again? I said, Brian Woodrow. Ryan who? And I'm like, oh yeah. So Ryan's dropping all these names and nobody, he's not that memorable. So anyway, lots of fun stuff out there. Love you, Booty. We got a few more minutes here. Anybody else have any questions for Wayne? Oh, come on now. I have one then.
All right.
Who's the artist that you haven't interviewed yet that you'd like to? You kind of touched on that. So the second artist that you would like to interview that you haven't yet.
You got a couple. No, it wasn't you. You know what? There's 100 or more that I'd love to have on, but somebody that I would really like to talk to is, I'm going to have to say two names, Dee Dee, Austin, and Morgan Tony.
So probably make Dee Dee Austin happen because Chris Eddie, who I'm working with,
Amazing.
Chris set that up for me. She is a sharp little lass, and she'd probably do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And I've spoken with Morgan. And with Keith Mullins, actually. They played at Waverly on the Green this past summer. And I had a nice chat with both of them. And it would be an honor to have both of those guys in at the same time. And I would love to have Dee Dee in. I haven't been able to get at it to prove it, but I know for a fact that there's Mi'kmaq blood in my body. And I love both of their stories, especially Morgan's. The amount of work that he's done and how far he's come is just amazing. And I suppose I would be really remiss if I didn't say Silverway, Mr. Silverway,
Oh, yeah.
and the Thundermakers. I like Alan Silverway. I wouldn't mind sitting down with him as well.
We're not. So we have a couple more minutes, I would say. Once again, want to give a plug out to Pizza Town.
Yes, thank you, Shelley.
It's a great spot. I mean, it's cool. I feel like we're doing like old school boiler room, David Letterman type stuff here, right? It's you too can do this. You don't even have to be smart or good looking or anything, right?
Well, we proved that.
There you go. We've been doing this for about 35 minutes, right? And great spot, live music. So Thursday night, the Songwriter Circle. Saturday night, well, Lori Little's going to be here, but that's a regular thing. Okay. So come and check that out.
Yeah, and then Tony Kemper has his songwriters thing here. And then one week he'll have a singer or songwriter in with him. And then the next week it'll be just like an open mic kind of thing. So, but yeah, big shout out to Crystal and everybody here, Sheldon and Jim and all the staff. And
I didn't recognize Jim with that haircut.
I know.
He can rock a series of different looks. That's unreal.
But there's also another young man that works here, and Jake is 16 years old, and on his own he's taken it upon himself to do different things to raise money for Hope Cottage. And I was in one day, and Sheldon and I were talking, and like we said, if we did something here that we wanted to do something so that somebody got some benefit other than looking at us talking out of it. And I said that if I did it here, that I wanted to raise the money for him to do some good with it, to give it to Hope Cottage or whatever charity he's giving it to right now. But he's 16, and nobody is pushing or prodding this kid. This is all his doing and all his thinking, and it's just another one of those things where you can see what this place does, the kind of people that work here, and what kind of an attitude the whole place eludes and, you know, and trying to put out into the community. So any funds that anybody donates tonight, I thought we did have a tip jar somewhere. That's where it's going. You know, we need a whole lot more Jakes in the world.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I was about to say, that's Wayne's way of saying you ain't getting out of here until, but no. It was suggested because, you know, everybody kind of has their deal, and I mean, I know sometimes that people they try to do benefits and do things for the right reason and put a dollar amount, and nobody should feel awkward if you're giving 2 cents or you're giving $200, right? Every little bit helps, so good on you. So, I want to thank you, Mr. Schnare. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
It's been what, 4 or 5 days of Sean and Wayne to be movie here. Thanks again to Sheldon, Crystal, Jim. Was there anybody else here working that I didn't see? That Pizza Town, Cobequid and Glendale, Lower Sackville, great spot. And we're gonna get Melissa to sign up. And before we go, Wayne, what do you always say?
Hey, remember, be nice. Doesn't take a whole lot. Be kind to one another. Always, always, always hug the ones you love. And today's a great day to do something good, but not get caught.
Peace out.